the Ravens are the biggest winners in the AFC North this offseason.
This is a team that consistently is going to be in position to contend because of how talented they are. The reality of it is those guys can play.
The AFC should watch out for the Baltimore Ravens this season.
Players in the NFL, certainly one of the best players at quarterback. They got a guy at tailback in J.K. Dobbins, who I think could be an all-pro. They got one of the best tight ends in football, a plethora of perimeter weapons, some health on the offensive line, a very good defensive line, one of the better young linebackers in the NFL, and a top 5 secondary. And no one talks about it.
Yo, what it is? Welcome back to another episode of At the Bank, a Baltimore Ravens podcast, Doug's. Yo, this episode is the one that everybody probably been kind of waiting for. You feel me? This is the episode that this is the room that everybody been wanting to see for a long period of time now since we didn't put this room together. So this episode 7, is titled The Wide Receiver Room. Now, we already know that this is going to be the biggest talk of the Ravens organization this year. You feel me? Because lately, the wide receiver room has been our weakest link in the chain. You feel me? And you know, you kind of gotta point the finger at Greg Roman just a little bit. You know what I mean? I felt like Greg Roman just stunt Lamar's growth and the offensive growth just a little bit. Now, at the time when Greg Roman first got signed by the Ravens, that was a great move for him to be an offensive coordinator because the way that we was trending Lamar, you know what I mean? Pretty much that run first, pass second kind of until he can be able to become that reliable passing quarterback. But then, you know, the last couple of years, particularly the last 2 years, has been rough for us on that offensive end, man. It's because, number one, Lamar couldn't stay healthy. Number two, Greg Roman plays was starting to become really, really predictable. Everybody knew that we was running first. Everybody knew that load the box up because the running is coming. Everybody knew that Lamar really wasn't going to hit wide receivers outside the numbers, or even the wide receivers really wasn't a threat in the last couple of years because the last couple of wide receivers we didn't had, man, it was just like, we ain't throwing the ball at all. You know what I mean? Luckily, we had a great tight end and Mark Andrews, who I just talked about a couple episodes ago, a top-tier tight end. And I really believe that he is, and he saved us for not putting us at the bottom of the receiving categories. You feel me? Another thing that we need to talk about is the Ravens never really truly had a number one wide receiver. You know what I mean? And that's been holding us back for years. Now, at times, we didn't have some good wide receivers or even some great wide receivers come walk through the door just as normal. You know what I mean? We didn't have a Derek Mason. We didn't have a Torrey Smith. We didn't have a Quadri Ismail. We had a Mark Clayton. We had a Travis Taylor. We had Anquan Bolden. We had Steve Smith. And for all my old Ravens fans, not the new ones, I'm talking about back in the day, we also had Michael Jackson. You know, and Michael Jackson for years was holding our receiving categories to himself, whether it's receiving, whether it's touchdowns, whether it was receptions, whether it was yards, doesn't matter. Michael Jackson was holding that for some years until Derek Mason came along. And then Derek Mason was everything to Joe Flacco, man. If y'all ain't paying attention when Derek Mason first came to the Ravens, man, he was our savior. He was our number one. He was our route runner. You know what I mean? Of course, we had Todd Heat also during those times too. But at the same time, man, we can't keep getting wide receivers that's pretty much on the tail end of their career. I'm not going to say on the decline because Derek Mason was something special. But on the tail end of their career, we can't just keep getting wide receivers. You know, luckily, Anquan Bolden came into us at the right time, so we can be able to capture that second Super Bowl. Because I believe without Anquan Bolden, I don't really see that the Ravens would have got our second Super Bowl, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because Anquan Bolden and Joe Flacco was on the same page. They was yin and yang, pretty much. You know what I mean? And that's what we had needed during that time because, you know, Joe Flacco, after he won that Super Bowl, he got that big deal. And after he got that big payout, he became a big deal. He had to. We had a lot of questions for Joe. You know, playoff Joe was the man, as you can clearly see right there. That was his year. But you know, what I mean, but to actually win a Super Bowl, we had great wide receivers all around. We had Anquan Boyd, we had a Torrey Smith, we had a Jacoby Jones. You know what I mean? And you know, we had a Dennis Pitta, a reliable tight end also. So we had the key pieces, and that's where the Ravens were at its strongest. It's when we had a wide receiver room to show and to be proud of. Now, no disrespect to our previous wide receivers, you know, of last year and the year before, man, but y'all guys didn't really get the job done. You know what I mean? It was very hard. Now, like I said, Greg Roman didn't really open up that playbook and find more out of the wide receivers. You know what I mean? It would just pretty much run the game, get the ball to Mark Andrews, and that was pretty much our offensive flow. And with that offensive flow, man, we finished number 29th in the NFL in passing. Just terrible. And we had the fewest receiving yards in the NFL. Also, the fewest. If I'm not mistaken, man, we ended up just barely getting 3,000 yards receiving. You know what I mean? That's with tight end, that's with wide receivers, and that's also with running backs. And that's not good. That's not going to be able to put a threat on any team. If your wide receiver room is not making some type of noise, of course, all defense is going to do is load the box. Now, luckily, that Greg Roman was creative enough to actually outdo some of these defense. But at the same time, man, you were still holding us back. There's just no other way of looking around that, man. He was holding us back from that passing game, and where I feel like this is the year that Lamar will get over that hump because, as we all know, as true Ravens fans, we didn't see that Lamar, each time that we say, or not we, but each time that these analysts, these critics say that Lamar can't do something, Lamar goes and check that box off and say, I did it, dummy. You know what I mean? And I think this is going to be the year that Lamar going to say that same slogan again. Check. I did it, dummy. You feel me? Because this year we have upgraded our wide receiver room. This is the year that our wide receivers really have to get us there now. Like I said, I still believe that our true identity is that run game. But when you sprinkle just a little bit more of that passing into that offense, man, oh man, things can look up. Because I already said in the top 10 tight end, how do you play us? How can you play us? You really can't go man to man because we still got Mark Andrews and this wide receiver room that I'm about to unfold is starting to look a little dangerous. You know what I mean? It looks way better than it did last year. So if you load the box, we're going to spread you out. If we spread you out, we could also still run the ball. And don't forget, J.K. Dobbins can also leak out into a wide receiver too. He can be a pass catcher running back. So that's why I'm saying that now that this wide receiver room is looking a little bit better. Little bit better. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it's still going to be some tweaking. Some guys need to step up a little bit more. But let's talk about these key additions that we got in this wide receiver room. Because this is what we're here to talk about today. You feel me? This is what it is. We added OBJ. We added Nelson Aguilar. We drafted Zay Flowers, who I believe is going to have a decent year. You know what I mean? And let me just go ahead and say this now. For all my Ravens fans, the Flock Nation, the Flockers, OBJ is not our number one wide receiver. Let me repeat that again for y'all, just in case y'all in the back didn't hear me. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., is not our number one wide receiver. I know people was probably scratching their heads and was like, man, well, this is a reach to get a number one wide receiver. To pay this guy a 1 year, $18 million. 1 year. This 1 year of that money. That's a lot. That had to be a number. No. No, he does not. And I don't believe that OBJ will be our number one this year. I'm banking on that this is Rashard Bateman's year to be our number one, because I believe that he can emerge to be our number one. If healthy, Rashard Bateman can show you that he has the tools to be number one. He can run a route tree. He has the speed to get away from DBs. He has the size to not go down on the first hit by DBs. So everything is panning up for Rashard Bateman to be our number one. The only thing that we are hoping and wishing, fingers crossed and everything, throwing a penny inside of wishing well, is that Rashard Bateman stay healthy this year. Because since his rookie year, he's been fighting injuries, whether it's a foot injury, whether it's a knee injury, shin injury, hip injury, something injury. And he always missing a great amount of games. Not just good, not just a little bit, a great amount of games. It'd be at times that we forget about Rashard Bateman. It's just like going into the offseason, we forgot all about Rashard Bateman. We as soon as we signed OBJ, we was like, oh, that's our number one. That's our guy. He's going to do this. But why we pay him so much for this guy to be this age and this and that? Because let me tell you what OBJ is going to do. He's going to open up things for a lot of players. Mark Andrews can benefit off of OBJ. I'll just describe that Rashard Bateman is going to be getting open off of OBJ play. Zay Flowers, some guys that everybody is probably going to sleep on in the first couple of games. They don't really believe in that true burst of speed that he has or anything that he can get past that secondary. He could benefit off of it. Duve. Everybody keep forgetting about Devin Duvernay. Even though I believe that he's going to do wonders in the special teams. I think that's where he's mainly going to be focusing at this year, is on the special teams more. But when you put Devin Duvernay in occasionally, he can benefit off OBJ being on the field. Nelson Aguilar, or another wide receiver that we signed for 1 year, 3.25 mil. My bad. But I believe that he can open up. I believe he's going to be a big body in that slot, or maybe he can play on the outside of the numbers also. You know what I mean? Because these wide receivers can be interchangeable. These wide receivers can almost play in and out. You know what I mean? You can put OBJ in the slot. You can put Zay in the slot. And then you can have Rashard Bateman on the outside and Nelson Aguilar on the outside. And then you can shuffle it all around. This is why I said this wide receiver room is going to be dangerous. But back to being our number one. I know a lot of people was saying, OBJ, this is too late to go get him and all. No. OBJ is going to have a decent year, and he's going to be able to open up some plays for us. That's all. I'm not going to say he's a decoy, because he's going to eat. He is going to eat. Man, if he can just stay healthy and kind of just turn to that Super Bowl game, if he could play like that again, OBJ could almost arguably, we can say that it could have been MVP, Super Bowl MVP that year. So it's going to be some great things being led, because remember last year in our wide receiver room, man, we had DeMarcus Robinson. No disrespect, I love the guy, and I wish he probably could have came back to fit in this wide receiver room, man. But he led our wide receivers last year with 48 receptions, 458 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That has to take the next jump. You know what I mean? Like I said, that what kept us 29th in the NFL, or dead last in the NFL in certain categories. That has to change. It has to move up. I'm pretty sure, man, Derek Mason, Torrey Smith, and the rest of this gang is like, yo, what is going on? Now, I believe that also the Ravens have to do better in drafting wide receivers. Now, I understand that EDC and Rashard Bateman had a little beef, or just a little bit, or a disagreement. I'm not going to say beef. They have a disagreement to say that we need to draft wide receivers better, which I believe that we do. When you look at it, no disrespect to Torrey Smith, but he's not a top wide receiver. He's not a Hall of Fame wide receiver. When you look at Mark Clayton, not a top wide receiver, not a Hall of Fame wide receiver. When you look at Travis Taylor, not a Hall of Fame wide receiver, not a top wide receiver. Who else that we might have drafted? Wide receivers that we might have drafted. Hollywood Brown. Still looking to see what type of wide receiver he's going to turn out to be, but we had to trade him. You know what I mean? And so it's just like the history of our draft and wide receivers, man, hasn't been all that good. And I think that's what EDC was trying to get to. He wasn't trying to throw shade at the guys that we already have now. I think he was just pretty much saying that we have to do better. We have to find a way. We have to find somehow, some way to go into this draft and draft better products. We can't just keep getting these guys that's late in rounds or these guys that we think that has somewhat potential and then don't even make it past year 2. That's the guys that we're looking for, or the guys that we're trying to so hard to force into the system, and the system doesn't fit these guys. This is why I believe that the hire of Todd Monken and the fire of Greg Roman is a gift that's about to unwrap for us Ravens fans this year. I believe that Todd Monken is going to be able to open up some things and move us up them rankings. That's something that Greg Roman wasn't able to do. I believe that Todd Monken is getting ready to fulfill the need that we've been voided for a while. I believe that all this can happen this year, and it's going to have to really start, like I said, with this wide receiver room. The way we put this wide receiver room is way better than what we did previous years. I don't know how many times I got said. But I also, this wide receiver room can get better. It can get better and can get scary. If a miracle comes, if we can all just get all our coins and dump it in the wishing well, if we can just go ahead and just rub our hands together or get a genie lamp and rub that genie lamp together, man, and things can happen. If D-Hop can come to Baltimore, woo, you talking about scary hours? You talking about he don't have to come to be a number 1 wide receiver either. That will open up so many things. I think that we will take the AFC by storm. I think we still going to take the AFC by storm this year also. But, man, just to add a D-Hop to this wide receiver room, man, can be very scary. You know what I mean? And it's going to be something that defense don't know how to prepare for. Because, like I said, man, if you add a D-Hop, OBJ, with the Zay Flower, with the Nelson Aguilar, and the Mark Andrews, and the J.K. Dobbins, and the Lamar Jackson, that's like almost like a Pro Bowl team, kind of. Just think of those names. Just think of the previous Pro Bowls before. You know what I mean? Where these players is on, on a Pro Bowl team by their, different prospective teams, you feel me? But now it can all come to Baltimore. Whew. Man, I can tell you right now, boy, if that's to happen, I'm gonna say we're going undefeated. No, I'm kidding. But I can see us winning a lot of games. Now, only thing that we're gonna have in question, 2 things we're gonna have in question is about this wide receiver room is injuries and how this new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, this new offense as he's pushing out. How do we catch on? Do we all be able to catch on quick, fast? You know what I mean? Before the season start. This is everything that what the great part about everything right now is that majority of our players are at OTAs or showed up for mandatory minicamp and stuff like that. We need that. It was great to see OBJ showing up to OTAs. It was great to see Lamar showing up. Mark Andrews, Marlon Humphrey, Zay Flowers. Shout out to, matter of fact, speaking of Zay Flowers, while it's on my mind, shout out to Zay Flowers for signing his rookie contract. He signed the 4-year, $14 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed, 7.2 signing bonus. So shout out to Zay Flowers, man. We're going to have him for 4 years, hopefully more years. You know what I mean? But we're going to have him throughout so far throughout Lamar's contract. You know what I mean? So that's one wide receiver that we can look forward to seeing with Lamar the next couple of years. Now, Bateman going to have to get his, going to have to fight for his, I believe. But if he had the year that I think he's going to have this year, I believe he's going to be able to get his contract. But Shout out to Zay Flowers, man, because that was dope. That now that we finally got all our rookie contracts signed and ready to go. Let's do that. All right. Let's talk about this expectations that this wide receiver room have, at least for my expectations. I believe that this wide receiver room can jump up from being 29th to 18th. Right now, they being ranked at 18th, but I think they can go beyond 18th. I think they can go to at least top 15 offense in this league. I believe that can be a big jump from 29 to 15. That'll be a big jump, and that will put the Ravens on the map because if things go right, if y'all have not seen the clip that I had posted on at the Bank Podcast, IG, y'all see that they say that Lamar is the only quarterback that can probably dethrone Patrick Mahomes, and I can see that with this wide receiver room, it can be done. It has to be done. I can see that OBJ is getting 550 yards with 3 touchdowns. I can see Rashad Bateman, and like I said, this is going to be a big year for him. I can see him getting 850 yards or maybe more and 5 touchdowns, but he has to stay healthy. I can see Zay Flowers putting an imprint this year, getting around about 500 to 600 yards and maybe about 3 touchdowns. I can see Devin Duvernay probably getting about around 350 to 400 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns, and Nelson Aguilar getting about 450 yards and maybe 2 touchdowns. And if you round all that number up, you get 2,900 yards and 16 touchdowns. Now that's just with the receiving core. That's not with what Mark Andrews can produce, what I think he's going to produce. That's not saying that what J.K. Dobbins, whenever he get his contract and situation together, what he can produce. You know what I mean? So what they say Lamar was asking for and looking for, they saying that he's looking to throw about 6,000 yards. But I give him 4,000 and some change. And so far with these numbers that I'm giving with this 2,900 yards, I gave Mark Andrews about 1,000, or I think I said about 1,000 yards. That's already 3,900 yards, and that's not counting what the running backs can do coming out the passing yard. That's not counting what Isaiah Likely can bring to the table. That's not counting what who else? Any other backup tight end, Nick Boyle, Patrick Ricard. That's not counting what these guys can also bring to the table also. So I can see that Lamar get that 4,000 passing yards this year. I see that this wide receiver room will take control and will be the face of the offense this year. It's this wide receiver room. I can clearly see it now with OBJ personality and the things that he brings to the table. Yes, that's it. I can see. I still believe that our running game is our strong identity. I still strongly believe that. But with a bolster upgrade in that passing, the identity can change. It can make your defense come looking at our offense like they're gonna pass first, and then we can hit you with the run game, and then the next game we hit you with the run game, and then we can pass. But I do want Todd Monken just to think about one thing. I do not want you to get out here and get pass happy. Please do not get out here and just thinking about it's all about passing. We need you. We need to run the ball also. So Todd Monken, please don't forget about the run game. Don't forget about our true identity. You feel me? I just don't want you to get too comfortable, too complacent, and just sticking to throwing the ball. Do I see y'all throwing the ball more than last year? Yes. I could see that 53, what was it, 53% of running dropping down to maybe about 43% this year, or maybe 45%. It's going to be about 45% rushing, and the rest of it's going to be passing. What's that, 55%? You know what I mean? Which is still not bad, but, keep it balanced. Like I said, this wide receiver room, it got some big things ahead of them. I see big things coming out of this wide receiver room. I already say that I can believe that almost 3,000 yards can come out of this wide receiver room. If everybody stay healthy and on the same page, and we can get this offensive plays down, things are looking up for the Ravens, man. I can see us being a top 3 team in the AFC. I can see us taking the AFC North this year. I can see us going deep into the playoffs this year. It all is going to have to come down to this wide receiver room kind of. Everybody going to have to stay healthy. Lamar going to have to stay composed. Everything. This is the whole key factor of our offense. If they want our offense to turn into a pass-first offense, everybody going to have to play their part. No selfish individuals are going to have to come about in this. You feel me? So, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up, man. But before I wrap this episode up, man, I got some couple of announcements, some couple of things I would like to just go ahead and say. First thing first, I would like to send my condolences to Ray Lewis for losing his son the other day. Man, I couldn't imagine life without my sons. I couldn't imagine life without my kids. And then by it being so close to Father's Day, man, my heart, my sympathy goes out to you and your family, Ray. If y'all didn't know, man, our Hall of Fame linebacker lost his son just a couple of days ago. Really don't know too much details about his death. Don't really want to give too much details about his death. But, man, for us Flockers, man, let's go ahead and put our wings around Ray Lewis, man, and build a great nest for his family, man, and show some love, some sympathy, and just show some love to our Hall of Fame linebacker, man, Ray Lewis, man. My condolences out to you and your family, man. I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you nothing but a speedy grievance, I guess. You know what I mean? I just wish you nothing but the best. And also, at the bank, got a little change, a little bit, you feel me? Just a little bit of change. I'm still going to be dropping my episodes on Saturdays. One thing for sure, that this podcast, At the Bank, a Baltimore Ravens podcast, will be start live streaming next month. So in July, look for the live shows, yo. You know what I mean? Time, I'm going to give y'all the time. I'm still working out the time, but we'll be going live. Also, when the season start, once the season start, I will be doing post-game reactions. Giving my reactions, my opinion of the game. Now, say for instance, if we have a Monday night game, that Tuesday morning, I will be doing a quick live stream talking about Monday's game. If the game was happening on Thursday, look for me Friday morning. You know what I mean? Or it might drop on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Depending on what type of game it is. But Sunday games, look for me right after those Sunday games. So we got a Sunday afternoon game, 1 o'clock. You'll see me at 4 o'clock. We got a Sunday night game. You'll see me Monday morning. You feel me? So just be on the lookout. You know what I mean? Things are going to be a little bit of change coming soon. You feel me? So be patient. Be ready. And as always, man, as I'm letting y'all go, man, as always, big trust. I'm out. Catch y'all in the next episode. You feel me?